What's up, guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Buildit video, and today we're going to be talking about services based on your map layout and the Maxis. Yesterday I put out a video on the Maxis Manor talking about its benefits and how you should buy it, especially if you are a low-level player. Now, I bought the first four. The first one is 1,000, the second one is 2,000, the third one is 4,000, and the fourth one is 8,000. If I remember right, the third one's 4,000. Okay, so you buy your Maxis and you get to the fourth one and you're like, well, it's only letting me buy 4. Every regional map that you unlock, it will allow you to buy 1 more Maxis. Now, is it worth it? No, it's not. I'm going to be real honest with you, it's really not. Because here's the thing, it's 8,000 cash. Now, if you're a lower level player, and you've saved up enough Sims cash from winning the contest of mayors, and you have a ton of Sims cash, and you really care about design, then it is worth it to buy a Maxis on your other maps, okay? But which map is it worth it, and which maps is it not worth it? About the only one it's not worth it for is the Frosty map. The Frosty map is a pain in the butt because of its layout. The Limestone map is also a pain in the butt, but not as much as Frosty. At least on the Limestone, you can actually find an area where you can utilize the coverage for the Maxis. But this Frosty map here, this one just isn't beneficial. And it's not... The other issue with the Frosty map, and I want to show you guys something here, is when you buy, for instance, the medium-size health coverage, as you can see here, the coverage, let me show you. If I was to buy the medium, you see how I would have to place one right about here in order to get coverage in this area. Now, I would need to place another one right about here to get coverage, well, probably right about the middle of these two to get coverage all the way down, which means that I would have to take up 8 squares in order to get coverage all the way down this far, right? Now, if I was to buy this one, I would get coverage all the ways down, but only taking up, let's see, 6 squares instead of 8 squares. So even though this one is more expensive and you lose a lot of its coverage space, it depends on if you want to put houses all the ways down. If you plan to put houses all the ways down this map, I would recommend going with the larger one, unless you are doing it in like a certain area. Because here's the issue. You have to take into consideration that if you're placing 1 health here, right? How much of the surrounding area is going to be taken up with police, fire, health, and then regional coverage. You have to take into consideration regional coverage as well. So by the time you get done placing all of these coverage zones and then having to do it right here, you're going to be left with very little room to actually put any houses. So I highly recommend that if you plan on putting, you know, a significant amount of houses on your Frosty map, that you don't do it like this. Okay? Don't do that. I won these health coverage things. I didn't buy these. These ones I won on one of those little promotion bundles. It was like a $2.99 for, I think it was like 5 of each VU or something. And then you got like a little health department. And I think the reason I purchased it was because it was one of the weeks that we had those pink plumb bob points. And it was going towards a side pass. And it was like 200 of them. And I'm like, 200 of them for $2.99? That's not bad. Considering they wanted, like, I think it was like 200 and, or they gave you like 200 of them for a $9.99 pack or something crazy. So, that's how I ended up with one of them in my storage, because somebody had asked me that on my stream. Okay, so the Maxis, though. The Maxis is, to me, it would be a waste of money to buy it on the Frosty map especially. Because it just, that's 8,000 cash, okay? It just doesn't benefit here. If you're rolling in the dough and you already have all of them on every other map, then I don't see why not, if it's important to you. But in terms of like any other reason, I would not. This map is really tricky when it comes to placing services. It makes it really hard to place services. In fact, I think that they should offer us some kind of like a Maxis, but for regionals. You know, something that we can buy that or even something, just change it to where maybe the services, they turn, you know, they crunch based on the map. They expand outward, like conform to the layout. That would be cool. But right now, the way that it's set up, this map is going to be the most difficult. All the other maps, they're pretty basic to understand. When you go to like your sunny map here, it's the same as any other. You know, you just try to fit. Essentially, what you're doing is you're trying to get as much coverage as possible with using as little space as possible to do it, right? So basically what you should do is try to buy the largest service that you can to condense as much as you can, and try to get them as close together as possible so that you get as evenly amount of coverage as possible. So for instance, you'll notice the way that I set mine up, I usually, if you look here, I usually have them set up in blocks of 4 like this, right here, so that I know they're all right there, and then I know my coverage zones. And I usually mark my coverage zones like with a little piece of road, and that way I know, okay, this is where it ends, this is where it starts, and then I place my houses based on that. So that's the tip I have for you in terms of that. As far as if the Maxis is worth it on regionals, that, like I said, that really comes down to how you're obtaining the money to get the Maxis and what it is that you're doing, you know. Is it beneficial for somebody who has a ton of cash and loves design? Absolutely. Is it beneficial for somebody who's a high-level player and is unable to win the contest, doesn't have hardly any Maxis on their capital, is short on cash? Then no, it would not be beneficial, because it costs you $100 real money to buy a Maxis. And that's just not ideal. If you're a low-level player and you're able to win the contest of mayors relatively easily, I highly recommend that you stay low-level and you camp and you win the contest of mayors as long as you can. Earn as many resources as you can so that when you get to high level, you have a ton of platinum keys, a ton of gold keys. Gold keys are easy to obtain, so don't stress on those. But the platinum keys and the cash, you just want to stack. Stack as many as you can before you leave level 24, okay? Going past level 29 is going to be a huge deal, so don't take that lightly. Another good thing for the Frosty map is don't build Frosty homes as much as you can. Ideally, what I would do is, going forward, I'm going to try to move a lot of my Frosty stuff into epics, because, and mind you, you have to have all regular residentials when you do epics, but this will allow me to cut out the regional coverage, and that will save me some space and hassle, right? Not to mention I don't like the look of the Frosty map, the Frosty homes. That also leaves me to give you guys another tip, and that is you can build other residentials on other maps. If you like, let's say, the Sunny home, but you want it on the Green Valley map, you can build those on that map. You just have to put down the regional coverage, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this posted. Hopefully it was helpful to you. As far as the services that you guys should be buying, the larger ones are the better deal. They give you quite a bit of coverage. I know that a lot of you guys worry a lot about happiness, but you shouldn't worry too much about the happiness, okay? Worry more about saving coin now, and then you can worry about getting your happiness back up, because it will go back up. It's very easy to get to do that, and you know, the taxes that you lose in the meantime are not so drastic that it's worth you know, buying stuff you don't need or bulldozing stuff to make room or whatever the case may be. So just be aware that the taxes are very minuscule and not to stress too much about the happiness. Okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this posted, and I will see you on a live stream.